This is the case of Nicola Bulley and what happened to her on that fateful morning of January 27th of 2023. Nicola drops her children off at school at approximately 8:40 and then heads down Blackpool Lane over the bridge path.
Nicola Bulley dropped her children off at school at about 8:40 on Friday the 27th of January. That was normal, and she then proceeded, after chatting to a couple of people in the school yard, walked up Garstang Road and onto the river path.
Okay, so let's clear up something first about the press conference and the use of Garstang Road. So they were asking for footage from people in their vehicles. Anyone that had any sort of footage, they could send it in if they were on Garstang Road. But the bottom line is that Nicola Bulley dropped her kids off at school, proceeded down Hall Lane and onto Blackpool Road, and then just over the footbridge to the path, then it turns into Garstang Road. So they were incorrect when they were saying that. They should have said anyone with footage on Blackpool Road around this particular area and on Garstang Road. So that was incorrect how they kept saying Garstang Road that they were looking for the information from, just to make that clear. Okay, so this is to give you a better visual of what Nicola Bulley was doing that morning so that you can visually see it clearer. So Nicola Bulley is heading over the footpath, and she's heading her way up the path towards the river wire where she's taking her dog Willow after dropping the kids off at school. So again, this is a very intriguing case because we know that there's basically like a 10-minute window of when Nicola Bulley had disappeared or fell into the water. Again, all the different speculations out there. And we know that at some point in June, hopefully, maybe perhaps we'll get some answers to all these questions that we have. So as Nicola Bulley is making her way up, of course, on the path and then into the field, it still remains a mystery to a lot of us. What could have possibly went wrong or what happened to Nicola Bulley? Okay, so at 8:43, Nicola is again on her way down the river wire path, dropped her kids off at 8:40, and then at 8:47 she is spotted by the first witness in the lower field. At 8:53 she sends an email off to her boss, and at 8:57 she sends a text message to a friend for a play date with the children. So then at 9:01 she logs into the TeamSpeak call. At 9:10 she is spotted in the upper field by a witness there. And then from 9:10 towards 9:20, her phone is heading towards the bench here where it's still logged into the TeamSpeak call, and a witness would come along approximately at 9:33 and find Nicola's phone on the bench.
We then know at about 9:33, a local dog walker who is walking a dog comes across the bench and finds Willow untied, running between the bench and the gate. The mobile phone is on the bench, face upwards, still logged into the Teams call, and Willow's harness is halfway between the bench and the riverside. That witness makes a number, before returning home, she then returns and makes a number of phone calls to people, because at that point she doesn't know who the dog belongs to or who the phone belongs to, and doesn't know how to get in touch with people. She makes a number of inquiries with a local vet who can't assist her, and following a number of inquiries, eventually people return to the bench, recover the handset and Willow, and we find out that obviously they belong to Nicola. The alarm is then raised with the local school, who then in turn contact Paul, Nicola's partner, who then makes to the scene.
Okay, so now let's go over what Ron said. Like, how confusing is this? It doesn't make sense.
Morning, sir.
Come on
Fine.
through.
Do come
How
through.
are you?
No, not at all.
Good to see you.
You live here?
Well, it has been like that. So you actually saw the phone, is that right? Yeah. You saw the phone that Friday morning?
Yes.
Yeah, and that was around, was it after 9:30?
I gave a full statement to the police with the exact time because my wife's telephone call had at the time on it, so...
Yeah.
But I've given a full statement to
Yeah,
the police.
yeah.
Was it just on the bench, or
Pardon?
was it just on the bench?
The phone?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. How's the last 3 weeks been?
Each day something new comes out,
Yeah,
doesn't it?
yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But,
And in terms of, you know, when you saw Phone, Lead and Willow, who you knew who Nicola was.
no, I didn't.
Oh, you knew Willow, that was it, wasn't it? You knew
I
knew Willow.
I knew I'd seen both the owners of Willow walking this dog in the past, but whilst I knew them by face, like I know your face, I didn't know the name.
Yeah. But I remember you actually telling me when you saw the Phone, the Lead and Willow, you were like, okay, I'm going to keep an eye on it because something doesn't feel right.
I thought somebody had gone to the toilet in the... you know, that would have been my first... I got to about this red brick building here and I thought, this is not right. And then there was a conversation, but my wife was trying to ring me, I was trying to ring her. Penny had rung my wife to say that she'd fastened the dog up that was...
And Penny was the lady who actually spotted Willow initially
right, yes.
and saw the Phone but didn't know what was going on with the Phone.
That's right, yes.
Yeah. And then after that, you know, what happened?
Well,
what were the next steps?
It was just a progression of things happening. You know, we found out because of the wallpaper on the phone. We found out who the couple were. Then the school was contacted, and Paul arrived.
Yeah. Well, look, we'll let you carry on with your walk. I know you do this every morning.
Yes.
Nicola did this almost every morning as well.
Probably, yeah.
We're retracing those steps. This time 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So an important.
I know.
Okay, so to give you a better view of that red building, which is right in front of you, and if I turn here, this is where the bench is, where Nicola Bulley disappeared. So I just wanted to give you a little bit of a clip just to give you the rough idea of how far Ron says he was when he was like, something's not right here. Let me go back.
Right.
The general information is when the dog was found, it was running from the bench to the skate.
Yeah, that's right.
That's not true.
Is it not?
The dog was trying to get over that stile.
Oh, okay.
Live on this park here.
Oh, Rowan Water. Yeah.
They were mountain rescue people with orange jackets on and all sorts of gear, and they came all the way through, through the park, everywhere.
So you guys, Curtis from Curtis Media was the one that was talking to this gentleman here, and this guy has left me a little bit perplexed. So was he actually there that day? Because the way he talks, he's talking about the dog in the stile, Willow going to the stile, and he's also talking about the mountain guys in the orange jackets. So is this the 70-year-old guy that last saw her in the upper field? I'm confused. Does anyone have any answers? Okay, let's have another listen.
We then know at about 9:33, a local dog walker who is walking a dog comes across the bench and finds Willow untied, running between the bench and the gate. The mobile phone is on the bench, face upwards, still logged into the Teams call, and Willow's harness is halfway between the bench and the riverside. That witness makes a number, before returning home, she then returns and makes a number of phone calls to people because at that point she doesn't know who the dog belongs to or who the phone belongs to.
So Penny's obviously the one that found Nicola's phone and Willow and the dog lead. Now, Penny doesn't know who this phone or dog belongs to. So that's confusing right there, considering, like Paul said, that anyone that goes to that park, if you're like a stranger, then you're going to stand out like a sore thumb because everyone knows everyone. So I don't know if she just couldn't place it. Simple as that. But anyways, she ended up going home. She ended up making some phone calls, even though Becky stumbled over her words there. It was that she had gone home, made some phone calls, tried calling the vet.
And doesn't know how to get in touch with people. She makes a number of inquiries with a local vet who can't assist her. And following a number of inquiries, eventually people return to the bench, recover the handset and Willow, and we find out that obviously they belong to Nicola. The alarm is then raised with the local school, who then in turn contact Paul, Nicola's partner, who then makes to the scene.
Okay, so she, like I said, is at home. She's finding that the vet isn't helpful. So whose number is on Willow's tag? Is it Nicola's and Paul's number that were on there, which would make sense to me because usually you have the owner's phone number and not the vet's phone number. And if she called the vet and the vet was, couldn't help her, is it one vet or is there multiple vets around there? Now, regardless, maybe she didn't have her phone with her. Again, there's going to be some answers that lie within what's being said here. So then that takes me back over to Ron, because now it's being said that she contacted some people and then at some point they returned back to the bench, got Nicola's phone and Willow, and then there's Ron's conversation. Okay, so let's take a look back at what Ron was saying during his interview about what happened that day.
Morning, sir.
Come on
Fine.
through.
Do come
How
through.
are you?
No, not at all.
Good to see you.
Do you live here?
Well, it has been like that. So you actually saw the phone, is that right? Yeah. You saw the phone that Friday morning?
Yes.
Yeah, and that was around, was it after 9:30?
I gave a full statement to the police with the exact time because my wife's telephone call had at the time on it, so but I've given a full statement to the police.
Was it just on the bench, or?
Pardon?
Was it just on the bench?
The phone?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How's the last 3 weeks been?
Each day something new comes out, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
But,
And in terms of, when you saw phone, lead and Willow, who you knew who Nicola was.
No, I didn't.
Oh, you knew Willow, that was it, wasn't it? You knew you knew Willow.
I knew I'd seen both the owners of Willow walking this dog in the past, but whilst I knew them by face, like I know your face, I didn't know the name.
Yeah. But I remember you actually telling me when you saw the phone, the lead and Willow, you were like, okay, I'm going to keep an eye on it because something doesn't feel right.
I thought somebody had gone to the toilet in the. That was my first. I got to about this red brick building here, and I thought this is not right.
Okay, you guys, so in order to make sense of what Ron is saying, this is how I'm seeing it myself. So Penny, sees Nicola's phone and the dog Willow, but doesn't know who it belongs to, possibly doesn't have her phone on her, who knows, goes back over to the caravan park where she lives. She starts making some phone inquiries, calls the vet. So Ron must have come during that time. And then he sees Nicola's phone on the bench and Willow running around thinking, hey, this person maybe went to the washroom, but I got to the red brick building or the red building there, and I thought, something's not right about this. And so he went back. So that's the only logical way that I can make sense of exactly how that happened and why Ron is saying that. But then I'm confused by this next part that we'll listen to.
And then there was a conversation, but my wife was trying to ring me, I was trying to ring her. Penny had rung my wife to say that she'd fastened the dog up that was.
And Penny was the lady who actually spotted Willow initially and saw the phone, but didn't know what was going on with the phone.
That's right. Yes.
Yeah. And then after that, what happened?
Well,
what were the next steps?
It was just a progression of things happening. We found out because of the wallpaper on the phone. We found out who the couple were. Then the school was contacted, and Paul arrived.
Yeah. Well, look, we'll let you carry on with your walk. I know you do this every morning.
Yes.
Nicola did this almost every morning as well.
Probably, yeah.
We're retracing those steps this time 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So an important.
I know.
So let's try to make sense of what Ron's saying here. And of course, the problem always lies with this, is that you can tell that Ron's just kind of given a quick, brief overview of what happened. So he's saying, I tried calling my wife tried calling me, Penny was calling my wife to tell her that we should tie up the dog. That means that there's more than just Ron there, obviously. That means that Penny is obviously back at the caravan or back at her home, wherever she is, and that Ron's with someone else or other people. So why would Penny call Ron's wife? Why wouldn't she just call Anne-Marie, her daughter-in-law, and say, tie up the dog? So that's where I think there's probably a simple explanation for that. And of course, it's just because he's saying it in a fast way that it's not making sense, because there's obviously some pieces missing there. Okay, so then it gets fairly confusing when you see stuff like this. So this is an article that was in the paper, and this is why people get so confused, because they're listening to the police, they're listening to what the news articles are saying, and again, you're trying to believe that it's mostly accurate, but when you read this, you'll come to see that what Ron said and what this article is saying are two different things. So this said that there was a mobile phone on the bench, and there was also something between the bench and the river, so I went and looked, and it was a dog's harness. The dog looked worried, so I tied her up and rushed home as I had to go to an appointment. After returning home, she spoke to her daughter-in-law, who immediately knew who the dog was and alerted both her partner and the police. So Ron said that Penny called to talk to his wife, Ron's wife, and said to tie the dog up. So I'm confused, because this article says the dog looked so worried, so I tied her up and rushed home as I had to go to an appointment. And according to the police, we know that Penny went home, made some phone calls, and tried calling the vet. So I would have to think that then that would be inaccurate. One of them's inaccurate. Whose is it? Is it the newspaper? Or is it what Ron was saying? Okay, also, so who alerted the police? Because Becky said Paul Ansel had alerted them, and here it's saying that Penny had alerted them as well. So did they both alert the police? Even though we heard Becky only say that Paul had alerted the police. So that's confusing to me as well, but that's exactly what makes things twisted, because you're just kind of going by the information that you're seeing, reading, and hearing. So, of course, whenever you hear different speculation going on, it's always going to add fuel to the fire. So, again, we have the police saying that there's no scuff marks to where the phone was found, to say that somebody fell in the water. They got no evidence whatsoever to show that Nicola did fall in the water. They didn't find her. The water is shallow there. So, basically, Becky is saying that, hey, well, there's not always scuff marks, because if it's a sheer drop, then obviously you would go into the water, which of course is very plausible that, you know, when she went over, if that was the scenario and it was an accident that she went over, you know, she possibly went down head first, conked her head on a rock or something like that, and basically, you know, floated away. But again, you have search teams, professional search teams, that are looking for Nicola, cannot find her. You got nothing to show for it. You have all this stuff that's being said about that she fell in the water, but nothing to show for it. So that, of course, leads into speculation. And then again, who tied up the dog? Was it Penny who tied up the dog? Was it Ron, who got a phone call that Penny had called his wife and said to tie up the dog? So, you know, that just starts leading to all the different misinformation and the speculation, because it's just a very odd case of someone that's disappeared in 10 minutes. And what happened to Nicola Bulley? You know, and just to keep adding to the fuel to the fire, you have a news station that's putting out that the lady in red was the first witness to see Nicola Bulley, and yet that was the lady in red that they were looking for. And she said that they had already talked to her that day and she didn't know anything about it, so why were they looking for her again? And that, of course, is Christine Bowman, which is a relation to Penny Fletcher. And again, it just keeps getting more confusing, because you're trying to use the sources that you have, and even those are wrong or inaccurate. I mean, there's truth in there, but what is the truth? Okay, so according to Nicola's phone data, her phone started moving towards the bench at 9:20. Now, of course, remember, there's a 10-minute window here, and this is where they are deeming that Nicola is in the water and it's an accident, but yet, again, they have nothing to show for it whatsoever. But that's the conclusion of their working main hypothesis that they were working on. So did Nicola Bulley, trip over perhaps Willow, trip over the lead, go head first into there? Did someone with a boat come and abduct Nicola Bulley? Now, did someone perhaps on the land, in that 10-minute window, come and abduct Nicola Bulley? Again, we don't have any answers yet, but we will have them hopefully soon. Did Nicola Bulley decide that she didn't want to be here anymore and just decided to leave her life? Penny Fletcher, who is the caravan park owner, and her name is Penny Fletcher, she would come to find Nicola's phone at 9:33 a.m. on January 27th of 2023. Now, in order to make Ron's story work, he would have had to have come in after Penny had left. And then as he continued on to the red building, he was like, something's not right here. Let me turn around, as I was saying in the previous part of this video. So again, basically once they figured out whose phone it was, they ended up calling the school, and the school called Paul, and then Paul would eventually make his way down there and contacting the police, as he had said, on his way to where Willow was and Nicola's phone, but no Nicola to be found. Okay, so let's talk about now about Nicola Bulley and her body being found 3 weeks after the search. Okay, so we're going to create a path of exactly where Nicola Bulley's body was found and recovered. And we'll start at the bench here and create that path. And then we'll talk about it along the way. So it's amazing to me, personally, how that Nicola Bulley, with all the advanced equipment, everyone that was searching, the person that found Nicola Bulley was a psychic medium named Jason Rothwell and his friend. Now, where the marker is here, that's where the weir is. Now, personally, I feel like Nicola's body might have been pushed underneath there and they just didn't happen to see her. They've just missed her somewhere along the way. Who knows? Each to our own speculations of what we think happened, and hopefully answers will come to us at some point in June or hopefully sooner. So as her body obviously is traveling down the river wire, and Jason Rothwell had made a comment that she was actually found about a quarter mile prior to the spot that she was actually pulled from the water. And that spot would be approximately in this section right here. That would be about a quarter of a mile. So basically when Jason Rothwell and his friend had spotted Nicola, her body would have been floating and traveling through the water down to the point of rest where her body was later recovered, which was here. So again, a lot of people believe that Nicola Bulley was placed in this area, meaning if after all the searching and the specialty dive teams came in and Nicola was still nowhere to be found, and it took 3 weeks for her body to, again, in this section right here, guys. Okay, so where exactly did they go wrong on their search? Again, I personally kind of think that if it was the accident, then it was probably caught in the weir. Perhaps not. Perhaps it was hiding in a reed and they simply didn't check that reed and then it became dislodged. And, but prayers for Nicola Bulley and her family and everyone, of course, that is affected by this. Rest in peace, Nicola Bulley. May justice and the truth come out to whatever that is for you. Again, just a lot of sadness with this case. It's a very intriguing case to say the least, so hopefully we will get those answers. Where Nicola, they're saying, was found or had an accident, whoops, made an accidental line there, was about 2 feet deep of water right here. So most people couldn't understand, well, yes, this is sharp here, and there's about 13 feet of water in the center of this. So there's no markings here, there's no scuff, the bees are saying. So, it's almost like in the video that I was just showing you, that she would have had to maybe land like almost like head first, maybe her hands down, her head hit a rock, and simply knocked her unconscious, and you know, she ended up drowning. That's a possibility. Did some sort of abduction happen in that 10 minutes of time? So again, as we scroll out here, we have basically Nicola Bulley leaves the school at about 8:40ish, 8:43. She ends up going down the path here at 8:47. She's spotted by a first witness, and then, you know, she logs into the call, all that stuff as well. But, you know, in the upper field, someone sees Nicola Bulley, and then her phone starts heading back towards the bench at 9:20, and then 9:33, her phone was found by Penny Fletcher. So basically there's that little window there of 10 minutes of what happened to Nicola Bulley. Okay guys, I would really like to have your comments in the comment section of this video, and please give this video a like and a share. Prayers for Nicola Bulley.
I've never felt a pain like this before. A piece of my heart died with you, but I guess heaven needed you more. But I can't understand exactly what for. Is this a trial of my faith, a lesson to be learned? Why did my baby come to earth and then so quickly return? I gotta get up off the floor and trust that heaven needs